Good evening. This is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Natalie Sitole, alongside Zamanzi Manze. First up, let's have a look at our headlining stories. The President of the Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, has sent words of comfort to His Majesty King Mzwadi III following the unrest that was seen in the country last month. Government says only grade 7s, from 3s and from 5s will resume classes on Monday. Eswatini Railway has donated benches worth 200,000 emalangeni to the Ministry of Tinkundla. And now the news in detail. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi, has conveyed words of comfort to His Majesty King Mzwadi III following the mayhem that broke out in the country. This is contained in a press release that was issued by the Director of Information and Communication in the King's office following the visit by the President's special envoy, who paid a courtesy call to His Majesty at Lozita Palace on Thursday.
His Majesty the King pointed out that he values the friendship that happily exists between the DRC and Eswatini. He said the two countries have so many things in common, firstly as members of the Regional Economic Bloc and also as members of the African Union and many other multilateral organizations. The King said it was paramount that they support each other, particularly in promoting peace and stability in the region and the entire continent. His Majesty said that the spirit of solidarity shown by the President of the DRC gives hope and comfort to Eswatini. The Ingwenyama observed that the looting and destruction of property has depressed the country's economic gains because the mayhem occurred at a time when the country was fighting COVID-19 and many people had lost their jobs. He said the destruction caused more suffering and misery to the masses and polluted the investment climate. The King indicated that whilst the country is going back to normalcy, there is still a need to support the reconstruction program, which requires about 3 billion emalangeni. He informed the envoy that government has already contributed 500 million emalangeni towards the reconstruction program. His Majesty said the kingdom will continue to appeal to its friends and the private sector to contribute towards this fund. On the news, I'm Sandile Makane reporting with Zwele Masugu at Lozita Palace.
The Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, has announced that only grade 7 from 3 and from 5 grades will reopen next week Monday and other classes will remain closed. This is in light of the increasing number of COVID-19 infections in Eswatini. The Prime Minister made this announcement in a press briefing which was held in Cabinet offices.
In the past 4 days, Eswatini has recorded a record spike in the number of COVID-19 infections, as 29 people died of this disease in just 4 days, while 3,177 new cases were confirmed in the same period. The sharp rise in infections and mortalities has propelled government to revise its initial plan for schools opening.
Kubukisisiwe konke lokufanele kepha sekubonakele ukuthi vele lesifo siyangekudlondlobala ngakho uhulumende sekufanele kube khona inyathelo letinye letitsite lakathi buketako. Uhulumende ke uthanda kumemetela ukuthi tikolo letitawuvulwa ngemsombuluko mhla ka9 ngileto talabantwana lababhala timfundo letibhalwa ngaphandle kusho labafunda standard 5 labafunda form 3 nalabafunda form 5 ngilabo ke labatawuvula tonke emaklasi lamanye onke atawuhlala angeke avulwa.
The Prime Minister has also announced changes in examination dates.
Lelo kutawubhalwa ngaMarch next year ngilokhu kusethwa la kithi. Lokhu ke lekuvele lokusethwa lengeshare lesingeke sikhone ukunjinja ngoba kubhalwa ngemavili amaningi. Kona-ke kutawube sekuqhubeke kubhalwe lo nyaka. Siyacela-ke siyakhuthata ukuthi batali awubabambisane nebantwana babakhuthate ukuthi vele bahlale baphephile kule sifo se-COVID-19 kanye nemaswati onke ayakhuthata ukuthi ayifeze le migomo yale sifo ukuze kugwenywa nokwanza kwale sifo.
Government is expected to review any developments on the reopening of schools after 2 weeks. For Eswatini TV News, Klengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Eswatini Railways has donated benches to be used by members of the public who will be seeking service delivery in the Manzini regional offices. The benches were handed over by Eswatini Railways Board Chairperson Mfanzile Mgomezulu on behalf of Public Works and Transport Minister Chief Nhlanhla Ndwandwe. They were received by Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Tinkundla and Administration Nhlanhla Dlamini on behalf of Minister David Ngampalala.
The benches, which were donated by Eswatini Railways, are already being used by members of the public who go to the offices of the Manzini regional offices to get assistance. Before the donation, while queuing, people were forced to sit on the ground. Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Public Works and Transport, Chief Nhlanhla Ndwandwe, Eswatini Railway Board Chairperson Mfanzile Mgomezulu applauded the Minister of Tinkundla for taking the initiative for the improvement of excellent delivery for eMaswati within the Manzini district, saying he hopes the benches will ensure comfort of clients while awaiting to be assisted.
People from all walks of life utilize this government's complex for services at the Regional Administrator's Office, the Revenue Section of the Treasury Department, under the Ministry of Finance, the Births, Marriages and Deaths Section of the Ministry of Home Affairs, as well as the Labour Section under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Due to the high influx of eMaswati who wish to utilize the services of the aforementioned departments on a daily basis, which include the elderly and other vulnerable groups, Eswatini Railways has partnered with the Office of the Regional Administrator in ensuring the comfort of clients whilst waiting to be assisted.
The Minister of Tinkundla and Administration, David Ngampalala, was represented by the Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Nhlanhla Dlamini. She says the mandate of the office is strictly service delivery.
The Honourable Minister has asked me to pass our sincere thanks to the Eswatini Railway for their kind gesture in ensuring that the public receives the services decently, in that they are no more going to be lying down on the floors, but they are going to get help after they have queued and sat down properly.
Manzini Regional Administrator Chief Gicha appreciates the donation made by Eswatini Railways, saying the Manzini Regional offices offer services to about 800 people daily. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Manzini.
Teachers from Babane came out in their numbers to get vaccinated on their last day of vaccination at Meta Dolorosa High School in Babane. Some teachers, though, feel like there is still more to be done to teach the public about how the COVID-19 vaccine actually works.
With the vaccination program for teachers having started on Monday in preparation for the reopening of schools, the exercise has come to an end today on Friday. On the last day of the vaccination exercise, teachers flocked the Meta Dolorosa High School hall, with the hall having become a hive of activity from the early morning hours as teachers came out in their numbers to receive the Johnson & Johnson jab. Sharing their thoughts after receiving the shot, some teachers felt that there is still need to conduct more civic awareness exercises on the vaccine.
Ngikhala nge-time factor lokuthi it's actually incane kakhulu kokuthi ngabe mina sengidawuvuka ekuseni on Monday I'm ready for work, of which ngibona ukuthi angisengakadadi kuhle ukuthi ungithatha le JJ ingithatha from hands to hither angisho kanzi ngabe manje bekudawuthiwa ngijovile nyalo on a Friday, and then saying maybe I'll have a week. Ngidawubona lama side effects alomjovo ahamba kanganani. Uyangithikabeza yini, uyangigulgulisa yini, and then because sibantu asifanani emtimbeni kukhona ukuthi udawuthi wena ngijovile nyalo bese sengiyefika endlini sekuba netivukela letivukako. So and then I think lesikhathi siba sincane lo sisiyajovana kuleli viki leli kulukuthi ngemsombuluko.
Ngicabanga ukuthi vele umqashi wethu bekufuna vele ukuthi ahambe extra mile asifundzise sibothishe gabanti sathi ngoba mina nje I'll make an example for this nyalo nje bengito jova nje. I came with my wife, na is a teacher, uyamunyisa only to find sivanyalo lokuthi lo pregnant nalo munyisako akafanele ukuthi ajove into ethi njengaleto nje yabona nalama misconceptions ke ukuthi yabona nawunetifo leti kanjani kube nje sifundisekile kahle kabantu because
Even though the vaccination sites at MDS Hall had been prepared for teachers, some members of the public, including the elderly, took their chances to also get the jab. And with luck being on some people's side, they managed to receive the jab, despite them not being teachers. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Eswatini National Association of Teachers thanks the government of Eswatini for rolling out teachers' COVID-19 vaccine exercise, as they are also essential workers. SNAT Secretary General Sikelelo Dlamini also encourages teachers to not hesitate to take their jabs.
Government's COVID-19 vaccination plan for this week focus on teachers in Eswatini over the age of 40 years old. Today marks the last day of teachers' vaccination period. Eswatini National Association of Teachers Secretary General Sikelelo Dlamini applauds government for vaccinating teachers.
As a SNAT, we have been requesting government to prioritize us as teachers because seemingly we are one of the frontline workers. And yes, government has done that and we applaud that. It is indeed a good thing. But we also want to applaud those teachers, our members who have decided to come out in their numbers to visit the various vaccination centers to take the vaccine. It is indeed a really good thing to do because the most important thing is to get vaccinated, to maximize protection so that you can also be able to protect even your immediate families and the children that we teach. And it is also important for everyone and the teachers to understand that taking the vaccine does not necessarily give you a license to put away or to disregard all other COVID-19 regulations and protocols, but it is done so as to minimize severe illnesses, even if you catch the virus, and to minimize chances of hospitalization, because if you look at the numbers and the cases, it may mean that our health centers are not going to be able to admit all of us. So it is the positive thing to do it in that way.
Dlamini encourages teachers who are reluctant to take their COVID-19 jabs to do so they could be safe from the virus. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muzi Mkonta Mbabane.
A person or an entity who intentionally obtain or attempt to obtain and refund tax from the Eswatini Revenue Authority, which is not entitled to them, shall on conviction be fined not less than 10,000 emalangeni, but not exceeding 40,000 emalangeni, or face imprisonment not exceeding 10 years. This is contained in the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill number 22 of 2020.
The Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill, Bill number 22 of 2020, which will see a person who makes any false statement or present any document to Eswatini Revenue Authority Commissioner General for the purposes of obtaining any refund or input tax credit or any tax benefit being convicted, was tabled in Parliament. The bill was tabled by the Minister of Finance, House of Assembly Portfolio Committee Chairperson Lobamba Lomzala, Member of Parliament Mawi Khumalo. The bill was first tabled in Parliament on November 22, and the first reading was also done on the same day by the Minister of Finance Neil Rickenberg, who requested that it should be referred to the Minister of Finance Portfolio Committee in accordance with Standing Order number 93. The bill further stated that a person who charges tax on exempt suppliers or who, not being registered, charges tax, commits an offence and shall on conviction be liable to a fine of not less than 10,000 emalangeni, but not exceeding 40,000 emalangeni, or imprisonment for a period of not exceeding 10 years or both. The report is yet to be debated in the House of Assembly. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
Eswatini is quickly improving its production of potato seedlings, as the expected output of potatoes from seedlings that were produced in Eswatini in past months is an estimated 8,000 tons. This is an update given by NAMPOD Communications Officer Melusi Dlamini.
Even though Eswatini has a big appetite for potatoes, as this crop is always in demand all year round, yet in past years, the kingdom has been unable to produce its own seedlings, a situation that often compelled farmers to use South African-produced potato seedlings. However, NAMPOD Communications Officer Melusi Dlamini says Eswatini has now rolled up its sleeves to increase the production of potato seedlings.
Currently, the country imports exports on average 7,000 metric tons of potatoes per annum. It is, of course, in the government's interest to increase local production and trade on food commodities over and above just the potato. So we are doing all we can and working very hard with the guidance from the government in collaboration with farmers, Malcolm's research, and other stakeholders to ensure that we are able to grow local production and substitute input of potatoes and other commodities.
Dlamini encourages farmers in Eswatini to consider venturing into the production of seedlings as they have a huge market in the country.
There is also an excellent opportunities for farmers locally to focus on seed production. So we are hoping that more farmers will start considering seed production, and so that we can grow the production of potatoes as a whole.
Eswatini started increasing its production of potato seedlings after establishing a partnership with the Republic of China on Taiwan, which has resulted in Taiwan providing much needed expertise on potato seedlings production. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Eswatini Stocks Construction Company has donated a batch of face masks and sanitizers, which will benefit approximately 300 children at Mangwaneni Soup Kitchen. The donation was presented by one of the company's directors, Thandiwe Tlatjwayo.
Upon realizing the great need for PPE for children in Eswatini as schools reopen next week, construction company Eswatini Stocks, which is responsible for construction of the multi-million traffic interchange in Manzini, has donated face masks and sanitizers to 300 children who get their meals from Mangwaneni neighborhood care points. The PPE was presented by one of the company's directors, Thandiwe Tlatjwayo. Thandiwe says Eswatini Stocks is not only just about constructing buildings, but the company works to positively impact the communities around them.
Singashiye amabhilidi kuphela nemigwaqo kuphela, but we need to impact the lives of the people within that community.
Manzini Mayor Quinton Els commends Eswatini Stocks for considering needy children, as PPE is a huge basic need.
To them, please continue cooperating with the company. Make sure that your behavior does not impede their operations. Parents and kids, please take good care of these things so they last you for a very long time.
The Mangwaneni Soup Kitchen has started preparing meals for children even on weekends. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu, visuals sourced from the Municipal Council of Manzini.
And now we'll have an ad break followed by a look at our financial markets.
Once umfuje ngibekise uthola noma licingo lakhe say message seniyacabana seniyabulalana nje uyathi kuyashaqisa
kulaba labahlukubetekako nekwe ukuthi ngalokuthi phela kuhlukubeteka okay ke ngaqala namuhla kwanza uthi iprocess lechubekako kungcono ukuthi nje kusina kusaqala uvele ukureport ungameli ukuthi umuntu azaphindza akushaya noma aphindza akurepe yabo akuphinzeleli.
Asisesaba ngisho asathi nokuthi sesikhiya sile etindlini ulala ugcokile ulala ukhile ulala ubophile eminyango uthi solo wendela bona kepha banayo indlela engena.
Ngithi mine bobabe abayekele ukuhlukubeda bomali emakhaya ngoba labantwana bese basala bathi ntsandzane bese abasathi ngoba nalabo labantwana labasele kubo nabo babahlukumede kushoda naNkulunkulu. Akuna ukubulele labantu abasele awubacabangela ngathi lo siyekuthatha kwente njani.
uNkulunkulu is the only solution empilweni yemuntu.
Igama lami ngumthandazo Mkhonazi, and you are tuned into a brand new show on Eswatini TV called Street Quiz. Street Quiz is a show that is aimed at finding out just how well you know your beautiful country and just how well you travel. Now, the beautiful part about it, and that is my favorite part as well, is you get to win a special prize. Now, that could just be money or a little something extra. As for me and my team, we Danibona every week from here, just as long as you tune in, and now I'm gonna start Dingdong Balege.
Welcome back. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Shiseleni-based team Rangers FC, who are competing in the National First Division, has become the first team from Shiseleni to compete in the Premier League in more than 20 years after they were promoted together with Vovovo.
Over the years, failed to have a team competing in the Premier League, even though it has supplied the division with many quality players. The last team to come from the Shiseleni region was Gege Happy Stars some over 20 years ago. Rangers has, however, rewritten the history books as they have finally qualified to compete in the Premier League. Team manager Thokozani Nzinisa says it is important for the region to have a team in the Premier League, and they will need help from all the people of the region to help them keep the team in the Premier League, as they are looking at staying in the Premier League forever.
Umcoka kakhulu ikakhulu esigodini seShiselweni la lapho khona kude team eShiselweni lekhona ka Premier League. Kodwa ke na uthi uyabuka ukhanda ukuthi amacembu onke ka Premier League kunebadlali labasuka eShiselweni bese uyamangala ukuthi pho lehlula njani iShiselo kwenyusa licembu. Ingakho sabe siyakuthatha kuba insaya yethu lokuthi ake silenyuse lelicembu le ka Premier League. Esiphe slogan sethu lesithi we lead, others follow. Kulokwenyiwa kwethu kukhulu kakhulu kushiselo sitayicela ukuthi isibambise nabo somabhizinisi bendawo baselekelele ngoba sekutawa madima indleko tiyenyuka, kodwa uma bangasibambisa asikakadimisele kuhamba sibuye sifuna kuyohlala ka Premier League.
Vovovo is another team that is qualified for the Premier League, and the head coach Tobias Nduli says they are already working towards staying in the Premier League, so they will have to add new experienced faces in all the departments so that they may be able to retain their status for a long period of time.
Yeah, umsebenzi vele sesetikwawo already nyalo because Premier League uyademanda kakhulu. It's unlike like a first division. So squad sethu ufuna ukuthi reinforce cishe onke ama department ikakhulu nge-experience. We need just to add more of experience. Itokhona ukuthi i-sustain because the point lelikhulu ngiloko ukuthi le team yethu akufuneki lokuthi ifike ibe ijika, you see. So le promotion beyivele iplanelwe, and then ku long term ukuthi iya ka Premier League nayifika khona akufuneki ukuthi iyohlola ijike. I-team yethu awufikele ngithemba ukuthi awufike izame ku-compete i-sustain.
Currently, Vovovo is at the top of the table, and if they can get at least a draw in their next game, they will be crowned as champions. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizwe Msibi with Linda Dlamini. Mbabane.
The Eswatini Swimming Association's president Herman Jele says after seeing how the two swimmers performed at the Olympics, they have since realized that it will be important for them to start preparing for the next Olympics in 2024. Jele was speaking with journalists from this broadcaster.
In the ongoing Olympics, Eswatini was represented by two swimmers, being Robin Young and Smanga Dlamini. Both swimmers were not able to get to the next stage of the competition. Even though both swimmers did not progress, they impressed with their performances as Smanga clocked the personal best and Robin Young pulled in an impressive time. The president of the association, Herman Jele, says if they will have a better Olympics in 2024, they will have to start preparation as soon as possible.
Sike sahlala na national coach Welcome Hlabatsi saba ne debrief naye wasinika nje just a complete picture of the experience at Tokyo, wasinika naye i-feedback yakhe in terms of i-performance yama-athletes kusebenza njani nako futhi ukuthi going forward what is a strategy that we now need to implement. Si-association vele sesiqalile si-implementa emaplani ema-Olympics in 2024. We realize lokho simastawuqala nyalo. It is something that will be of major benefit to the athletes that we will select to attend.
Jelle says they will in the meantime try to have more athletes get ready so that they can have a large number qualifying for the Olympics. He also pleaded with the private sector to also fund them and help them achieve this dream. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patrice Msibe with Linda Dlamini. Babane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The President of the Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, has sent words of comfort to His Majesty King Eswatini III following the unrest that was seen in the country last month. Government says only grade 7s, from 3s and from 5s will resume classes on Monday. Eswatini Railway has donated benches worth 200,000 emalangeni to the Ministry of Dinkundla. And with that, Eswatini, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.